Hey there, crew. It's Mark, and I go by Mark Your Pages here on YouTube as well as over on Instagram. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 creative ways that you can use and layer acrylographs inside of your bullet journal and planners. As a part of the ambassador team, I'm always looking for new and creative ways to use accessories and the notebooks. So hopefully today will give you a little bit more inspiration, especially if you have a lot of acrylographs laying around, like I do. So for materials, the first thing you're going to need are going to be acrylographs. I have a bunch of different sets that I'll be using today, but really what you want to look for are just 2 opposing colors, usually one lighter, one darker. So depending on whatever type of mix you're going for, that always works best. Helps it really pop off the page. You're also going to need your notebook or planner or whatever you want. I just have one of my big B5 desk pads, which I love so much. I also have the Archer and Olive stencil / ruler here. We're going to be doing some drop shadows today, and what I love about this one is it has a lot of the shapes already in here, but if your ruler doesn't have the shapes already, we'll just be drawing out rectangles and squares, so you'll be totally okay. And you're also going to need a fine liner and a pencil if you want, just to draw things out first, and then you can always go back over them with the acrylographs. What I love about acrylographs so much is that they are very opaque. That means you can't see through them. So if you want to doodle out something real quick with a pencil, you totally can, and then just write right over top of it with your acrylographs. As always, the first thing we want to do anytime we're using acrylographs is we want to give them a really good shake. I like to try to label all of my boxes for my acrylographs, so the colors I'm going to be using are from the June 22 subscription box. When I tell you that I have a lot of acrylographs, I'm not kidding with you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the layering with lettering, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write out Monday. We'll just pretend that I'm going to be starting my week. And so I'm just going to write a nice big open M here on the page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color this all in with the same dark color. Because the acrylographs are paint pens, we do have to give that just a moment to dry, but while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and prep up the next pen just to make sure it's ready to go. The acrylographs come in a few different sizes. The ones I have here are the 0.7 millimeter. Some of the older ones that we have were at 3 millimeter, which are nice and big and thick. And then we also have the 1.3 millimeter, which was newer, that came out with one of the subscription boxes. So just make sure you know what you're working with. For this one specifically, we created really large areas for our days of the week here. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just do polka dots kind of on there, but just very lightly with the tip of my pen. So the 0.7 millimeter is going to work out great. Now, if you've never used acrylographs before, after you're done shaking them, you want to make sure to be able to get the paint from inside the pen onto the tip. So what you'll do is you'll just go and you'll just press that down until you see the color come all the way down the tip here. Now, mine's already loaded and ready to go. So as I'm dotting down, you'll see that the color is coming up. And that's exactly what we want to do for this example here. So once your first color has dried, then we're just going to go over top with our second color. And we're just going to start to drop some dots, nice and easy. I'm actually not even pushing down on the tip at all because I don't want to let any extra paint come out on here. And we're just going to create some cool polka dots right over top of our lettering. It's a great way to take something that's pretty basic and just spice it up just a little bit. All right, for our next example, we're going to create a drop shadow using 2 different acrylograph colors. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my stencil, or if your ruler doesn't have any shapes already cut out, you'll just draw out a quick rectangle or square for yourself. In this example, I have a call out for my top 3 tasks that I want to accomplish on that day or within that week. All right, so for this example, I have 2 colors here from the metallics. I have amethyst, and then I also have gold here. Now, the amethyst color that I have is in the 3 millimeter. I don't know that they make these anymore in this size. I know they're trying some different stuff with like 1.3. I always was a really big fan of the 3 millimeter because you can do a lot of space in a really short amount of time. But for this, we're going to be using a lot of space in a short amount of time, but then we're going to come over top of it with the 0.7 millimeter in the gold and add a layered effect to our drop shadow. Before I use them, we got to make sure we're shaking them up. All right, following the same thing we did before, we're going to use our darker color first. And for this drop shadow, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this drop shadow down about 1 square over from the bottom left-hand side. We're going to pull that all the way across the bottom, and I'm going to go out about 1 square out from there. And then over here on the top right, I'm going to move down 1 square, and I'm going to take that line out. and draw that down to meet where my other one is. Now we're going to go ahead and give that just a moment to dry. One thing that you might have saw during that is that as I was using it, I was pressing down on the pen to get out more of that paint ink that's inside of the pen here. If at any point you notice that the nib of your pen is looking dry or it's not flowing very well, make sure to give it a few presses down first, and that way it'll draw more of that ink down onto the tip of your pen, which will make it a lot easier to move around on your page. All right, once everything is dry, we're going to take our smaller nib pen and then we're just going to start pulling some diagonal lines across here. That put down some very nice thick lines, but we're going to have to really make sure to let this one dry. Now, as much as I like functional things like lettering and boxes, sometimes you just want to add some fun decoration to your page. So for this next part, we're going to do kind of this cool organic looking shape with some closed and open circles. Now to do that, I'm going to be using two colors. These were from the Sunset Breeze collection. That was that cool like retro looking one. I love some of those notebooks from that one. We're going to be using Groovy Blue as our base color. And then over top of that, we're going to layer the Pale Ivory. Again, let's go ahead and shake them up first. All right, so first with our pale blue, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw kind of this curvy open shape. And then I'm going to go ahead and just color that in. And just as a reminder, anytime that you're coloring in a large space and you feel like the ink or the paint isn't coming out of your pen all the way, just give it one quick press and that usually will coat the nib of your pen to make it go ahead and spread a lot better. Again, as that reminder, if you're drawing with your Acrylograph and you're noticing that you're not getting as much paint on the nib of that pen, just give it a nice light press and that should coat the nib with some more of that paint, which will then allow you to put everything on nice and smooth. As another tip, anytime that I'm using Acrylographs, before I just take my pen right to my paper, I usually like to have a scrap piece just off to the side because sometimes you can actually get like a large blob of paint that will come out or your pen isn't working exactly great. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and I'm just going to give it a few dabs on here just to make sure that things are flowing really good before I go ahead and take it to my paper. Something else to watch out for is when you're dabbing down, you might get like a big blob on here. And while it's great to have it nice and coated on your pen, you just don't want it to like blop on top of your paper. Now for this, it's just a fun organic looking shape. And so we're just going to go over top of it with some circles. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to draw out some filled circles around here. I like to do them at different sizes. I also really love to kind of do like little half circles on the edge of the page. Make sure you do give them some space because we're also going to do two other types of circles on here. So the next one is just going to be an open circle. So it's going to be exactly the same shape, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit bigger. I also like to take these off the edge of my shape a little bit. It gives it like a really cool and fun contrast. And then any open space that's inside of here, I'm just going to go ahead and just touch the tip of my pen layered over top of here. One of my favorite things to do with shapes like this is to use them as header pieces for days of the week. If I'm doing like a double page spread with each of the days of the week with like long verticals for task and notes, these look really cool at the top. So far we've done lettering, we've done drop shadows, we've done some fun organic looking shapes. And the last thing I want to show you today is a way that you can doodle with the Acrylographs and layer it for a really cool look. I'll be using two colors from the Celestial collection that came as a part of one of the subscription boxes. I'll be using the Nebula Blue as well as the Purple Borealis for this one. So far when we've done everything on here, we've done a darker color down first with the lighter over top of it. But I'm going to switch it up this time. I'm going to start with the lighter color here. So we're going to go ahead with the Nebula Blue first. And we're going to do a space theme because why not? It's celestial. But this is a really easy way to create like a planet, kind of little star thing. Again, using this for headers, days of the week, or whatever you want. Let's go ahead and shake these up first to make sure they're ready to go. So we're going to use this lighter Nebula Blue color first. We're going to draw out whatever size circle you want. Now that we have our lighter color down first, next we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a ring around this planet. So I'm going to start up here, a little bit closer up to the top left, and pull out and come right over top of my planet. I'm going to go ahead and add an orbiting moon out here on this ring. And then I'm going to add a little bit of detail around here. So I'm just going to do one of these triangle diamond stars And then I'm just going to do like 3 little dots around here just to add a little bit of visual appeal. Then I'm just going to write the day of the week here. And if I wanted, I could do like another kind of like vertical, horizontal, where maybe each different color planet then got the day of the week next to it. So here we have our 4 different ideas on ways that you can use acrylographs and layer them together. We've done things with text just by putting down big blocks of color and using kind of like a stippling effect over top of it. We've done really cool looking drop shadows. Again, these could be squares, they could be circles, or just organic looking shapes with patterns over top of it. I love the organic looking ones like this. I just think they look so cool and interesting on the page. You could also do like a really cool like 80s kind of theme with that one too if you'd like. And then also just general doodles if you want to. I'm not going to say I'm the best at doodling, but something simple like these easy planets are really easy to do because you can put stars and moons and layer those colors over top of it to give it a really cool look. If you have other ways that you like to use acrylographs inside of your bullet journal and planners, make sure to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear those ideas, and I know in the community we love to share ideas too, especially with acrylographs. Not everyone knows exactly how to use them or what to do with them, so hopefully these ideas plus your ideas will inspire a whole new group of people to love their acrylographs even more. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. I hope that this was helpful to you. And my friends, I will talk to you next time. See ya.